What really causes high blood pressure? There are three things, and number three is gonna shock you. My name is Dr. Storia. I've been in practice for over 25 years. I'm gonna give you realistic advice based on my experience. I'm gonna use an analogy to explain the cause of high blood pressure. And the analogy is that of a garden hose. So your heart pushes blood through the arteries just as water goes through a green garden hose. So if you're pushing a ton of water through a hose that really can't take that much water, there's gonna be a higher amount of pressure. Or if there's something wrong with the garden hose, like the garden hose is old or it gets stiff, obviously the same amount of water would increase the pressure. And that is a good analogy for high blood pressure. So here are three causes of high blood pressure. Number one, a crappy diet. A crappy diet is going to ruin the inner lining of your arteries. It's going to make the inner linings destroyed, and as time goes on, the same amount of blood that goes through your arteries is going to have an increased pressure inside those arteries. So using the analogy of a garden hose, if you were to take a garden hose and water was going through it and there's a certain amount of pressure in the garden hose, a crappy diet is like putting mud inside the garden hose with little tiny rocks with the same amount of water going through it. It's just sludgy. And that is how a crappy diet essentially raises your blood pressure. So which diet should you follow in order to solve this problem? Well, that's up for some controversy. Some people will say that there's absolute no question, it's my diet. And the other people will say, no question, the research is out there, it's irrefutable, it's my diet. Well, let me know in the comments section what you are following to try to reduce your high blood pressure. As a general rule, the more stuff you eat out of a box, the more likely and quicker you're gonna end up in a box. So the more processed foods you eat, the more likely you're gonna have a crappy diet and have high blood pressure. Number two, age. As we age, our arteries simply just get older and stiffer. It's a natural thing that happens as we age. It's unrealistic to think that our arteries can be as soft and supple as they were at 5 years old, at 70 years old. And this is why blood pressure, as a general rule, does go up as we age. The analogy of the garden hose is the older the garden hose, the stiffer it's gonna be. When you first buy a new hose, it's nice and squishy and there's less pressure in it with the same amount of water, but you keep that garden hose for 30 years, they last forever, right? But generally they don't. The materials of the garden hose will age, and in theory, there would be simply more pressure. Now the issue with aging is, this is why blood pressure is such a major problem, because it's going to happen to us all. If we make it to a ripe old age of whatever, our blood pressure is going to go up. But when you start to see young people that have high blood pressure, it's a very bad sign, because we know that whatever lifestyle choices they're making at a young age, it's going to be compounded by age as they get older. So if you're young, you want good blood pressure. So before I give you number three, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, by the way, you are allowed to ask in the comment section. I will try to get to the questions at a certain point. So let's talk about number three, and this will shock you. The thing that causes high blood pressure is genetics. So using the analogy of the garden hose, obviously if you go to a store, you'll find that there's different qualities of garden hoses. Some are better than others. It's based on the materials that the garden hose is made of. It's the same exact thing with our arteries. Some people are just genetically blessed. They have soft, supple arteries and they never have high blood pressure. This explains why some people can do everything wrong. They can grow old, they can smoke, they can eat a crappy diet, they can literally do everything wrong, and yet their blood pressure is perfect throughout their entire life. It just isn't fair, is it? Yet some people are 20 years old and they have advanced stages of atherosclerosis and high blood pressure. Why does this occur? The answer is because of the genetic makeup of our bodies. It is an extremely false assumption to think that everyone is the same internally. Now, most people are surprised to learn that genetics plays a role in high blood pressure. Our genetics determine the pliability of our arteries. That's our starting point. And some people have been blessed with great genetics and some people just haven't. So I hope that you found this informative and interesting. If you would like to learn how to naturally lower your blood pressure through a very specialized breathing technique, then I'm going to put a link down here below for that. So you can watch that, try it, and do that breathing technique every single day, once a day, forever, and you might be surprised about the long-term effects of doing that. If you would like to see a video regarding a smoothie recipe, including all great things regarding foods that lower your blood pressure, such as things that have a lot of nitrates in them, then go to this link down below and there's a video there for you.